Hello, happy Thursday. Had to put a little bit of Murphy time in there. After all, it's not a show if you don't get to see Murphy. Tonight we're going to talk about getting your business, no matter what size it is, streaming on YouTube. A lot of people think they can't do it, they're not big enough, they don't have the right stuff, they don't know how to do it. We're going to cover all of that. I'm going to tell you what you need to do in order to get started, and there's two things that a lot of people miss that makes them think that they can't do it. We're going to cover that. We're going to talk about setting it up. We're going to talk about how you schedule your show, if you want to schedule it, all that stuff we're going to cover. So let's get this show officially started. Wow, apologies to anybody wearing a headset. That was way too loud. I'll fix it for next time. All right, so hello and welcome. We are going to talk about getting your business onto YouTube. So we're talking about live streams, we're talking about recordings, whatever it is you want to do. A mix is even better. But there's a couple of things that people misunderstand, which leads them to believe that they can't stream on YouTube, and that is not the fact. Everybody can stream on YouTube. It does not matter how big you are, whether you've got any videos out there in the universe at all, whether you want to do live, whether you want to do recorded, all of these things do not matter. You can be there on YouTube. And the number one thing, I mean, we've covered this on a lot of other shows, so I'm not going to go into it too deep here, but the reason you need to be there is because that's how people find you. Right? We need to be found. In order for us to continue to grow our businesses, to stay in business, we have to find new customers and we have to serve our existing customers. So live streaming, posting recorded videos, this is a way to accomplish both, right? Because you can put information out there that your existing audience will find informational, educational, useful, entertaining, whatever way you want to go with it, and a mix of different things is always good. Also, this is a way for new people to find you. People who don't even know to look for you may find you due to a search. And that is the first important thing here, is when you're going to do this, because we're talking about YouTube, it's important to keep in mind that YouTube is a part of Google. Google is all about search. So you want to make sure that your content and your titles and your descriptions specifically are focused on the types of things that people are looking for, right? So either they're looking to learn about, or they have questions about, anything along those lines. That is the key to the door when it comes to YouTube. Other things, the other platforms, they're different focuses, but 100% the reason people are going to find you on YouTube is because they did a search. And then over time, as you start to build your audience, and then you start to get referrals and people start to recommend you and that kind of stuff, you'll find it through the organic methods that you use on other platforms. But first and foremost, YouTube is a search tool, and that is how people are going to use it. So you need to tailor or target your content towards that. Does that make sense? Yes? Good. Okay, so I have so many screens. I'm going to have to take a picture. So I'm in the process of redoing my studio, and wow, I've got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens at the moment, and I actually need to get one more going. So, for those of you who are new, my name is Kathleen, and I'm here as your tech coach. I do technology as my day gig. It's also my hobby. It's also the reason, I get a lot of phone calls. So I bring those topics that come up, the questions that people ask here, because other people have those questions too. All right, so let's talk about YouTube. There are two reasons why people think, mistakenly, that they cannot stream on YouTube. That's a mistake. You can. You absolutely can. So one is because they haven't gone through the extra step of getting verified. Okay, so that is probably the biggest reason, because people will go in, either to the tool from their desktop, or they'll try to do it from their phone, which is totally viable, and they will not see the option, right? They won't see the go live, they won't see the upload option, and there's a very good reason for that, and that is that you just haven't completed the process. Okay, so you've set up your account, right? It's a Google account, but then you have to go one more step to indicate your interest in doing videos for YouTube, and that is a process of verification. So what you need to do, hang on one sec. Oh, why didn't that work? That should have worked. Okay, that's okay. We'll do it this way then. Oh, because I'm on the wrong one. Hang on. So you have to click on You have to go to a specific link, okay, which I've just now put down there. Okay, so you need to go to youtube.com/verify. And that will then take you through a process, very simple process, very quick process, of verifying that you are who you are. And give me 1 second, I'm going to bring this up for you. And then after you do that, then there's a waiting period. I think it's 24 hours. I can verify that in a second. What did I say? Verify. And then that is how you indicate to the YouTube machine that you want to be verified so that you can do videos. So let me bring this up. I'm just trying to bring it up in a way that you'll be able to see what you will see the first time you go there. All right. And that would be this one. Yes. Okay, let's lose the lower. So when you go to this site, you're going to see this incredibly impressive page, right? I mean, aren't you just blown away by the design? It doesn't matter. You don't need this to be a well-designed page. You just need this to be functional. So, and this is it. It's a two-step process, right? So what you're doing is you are verifying your account, hey John, to YouTube, which will then open the gates so that you can do your recordings or upload your videos. So you're going to go in, you're going to pick your country, right? And then you've got to just choose between having them call you and give you a code or text you that code. And then, of course, you know, if you say call, it doesn't matter what number you give them. If you say text, make sure you give them a mobile phone so that they can text you. And that's really the whole thing right there. All you need to do is that. Go to youtube.com/verify, and that will then open the gates for you so that you can do your videos. Now, that's the one. That's the big stumbling block for most people, because it's not well communicated that you have to do that step, right? Once you do that, and then you wait the appropriate amount of time, hang on, I've got it written down, 24 hours. So you need to do it at least 24 hours before you want to start to go live. And then you will start to see the options of the go live and the uploads and all that kind of stuff. So that means that the gates are open and you can now do this. The other thing that trips people up is they hear that you can't stream until you have 1,000 members. Some people say 10,000 members. That's partially true. Okay, so you can absolutely stream with 0 subscribers, and remember, on YouTube, subscribers are not people who pay. They're just people who sign up. You know, they say they like you and they want to hear about what you're doing. You can have 0 and you can stream. You can upload videos. The 1,000 mark is if you want to stream mobile. Now, I hear you already, but that's all I can do. I don't have a computer. I have to do mobile. You really, through the YouTube tool, you can't. Okay, so through the YouTube app, until you get 1,000, you can't, which is, I realize, if you only have a mobile device, that's sort of catch-22, right? Because you need 1,000 people in order to be able to use mobile for live streaming, but you can't get 1,000 until you're live streaming, and you can't because you're on mobile. So that's a problem. You can go ahead and you can use something like StreamYards, but then you're going to have somebody run it for you. Or you could use a tool called Switcher Studio if you're on iOS. Those are 2 ways to get around the restriction of not being able to do it from your mobile device. Okay? But if you are able to do it from desktop in any way, shape, or form, and by the way, so there's a third way that you can do it. If you only have a mobile phone, you can hire somebody like me who does remote production, right? So then I could bring in, or whoever you hire could bring in your feed from your mobile device, wherever you are doing whatever content, and then I could send it to your YouTube site, right? Which will then start you on the road to that 1,000, to the point where, like, you know, you could just do it yourself from your phone, or we could continue to work together, whatever works for you. But the point is that there are ways to do this. You just have to think a little bit outside the box. Okay? So now that we've got that covered, so there's 3 things that trip people up. First, you have to verify. Okay? You're not going to get anywhere until you do this step. It's super simple. Just go to youtube.com/verify. Make your selections, put in the number. They're going to give you a code. You put that code in, and in about 24 hours, you'll be able to do these things. Then you can do it from the desktop, no problem. Mac, PC, doesn't matter. You can just use a tool like StreamYards if you don't want to go with something like Ecamm or vMix or whatever. In order to do it from your mobile device, you will need to have 1,000 subscribers to be able to use the YouTube app in order to do your live streaming. However, you can hire somebody like me to do some remote producing for you until you get there. Then you can choose to keep doing it or not. Or you can use a tool like Switcher Studio or StreamYards to work around that. Got to just be a little creative. Okay, so we've got that covered. Now let's get into the good stuff. So once you've got yourself enabled, right, then you just need to decide how you want to do it, right? You want to figure out, are you going to do it, in a studio like this? Are you going to do it in a store? Are you going to do out and about, which is IRL kind of thing in real life? Generally, there's no one way that is better than the other. You just maybe want to mix them up a little bit to keep it interesting for people. I'm sorry, I have to take the headset out. It's killing me. So you want to think about, what kind of streams you want to do, what kind of content you want to do. Of course, again, as I said, we're talking about YouTube. So always think about whatever it is you're going to do from the point of view of what people are, what questions they have, what they want to learn more about, what they're going to type into a search engine, basically. But you also want to think about things like, what is the presence going to be, right? Are you going to be, set up a studio like I've got here? Are you going to maybe be at, if you're like a maker, maybe you're going to be on your workbench, and so you're going to want like an overhead shot so you can show people what you're doing. So you just want to think a little bit about what it is. Don't get hung up on it though, because this is something that can evolve over time. So just start with something, right? And you can start with the basics, right? If you've got a webcam, you probably want to invest in a mic. Onboard mics are not so great, but if that's all you got, that's what you go with. But you want to start off, thinking about what you want, and then you want to start to think about where you want to go, so you know what you're shooting for. All right. How do you go live? Let's cover that right away, and then we'll get into some tips and tricks and planning ideas. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is decide how you want to do it. Now you want to decide, are you going to do recorded videos? Are you going to do live videos? Are you going to do a mix thereof? If you're going to do live streaming like this, right, where I'm talking, right, I can see that John's hanging out, making snarky comments about Facebook, which I like, because, hey, you got to have some fun in life. So you got to think about what you want to do with that. If you're going to do lives that way, you're going to need to use a tool. One sec. Okay. Wow, Murph. I gave him his treat early. I guess that was a mistake. So you can use a desktop tool. Okay, so if you go to youtube.com/dashboard, you have to be using a fairly current version of Chrome or Firefox. You can stream right through the browser. Okay, now those of you who have done this on Facebook know that you've been through this process before. So you just go in, you put in a title, put in a description, hit go live, and you're live. And then at the end, you hit end stream, and you're done. So that's probably the simplest, the cheapest way to do it, right? Because you're just using what you've already got, webcam built in or an add-on. If you want to, up the game and you have a DSLR that does clean HDMI, you can do that. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't stress over it. You don't need it. You might want to consider getting a good mic. By that, I mean like basically any USB mic, anything that's not your onboard mic for your computer or your laptop will be a big improvement over what's built in. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. You can spend, 30, 50, $100 on a USB mic and be good to go. Literally plug and play. If you don't like the tool that YouTube gives you for the desktop, or if you want a little bit more power, you can look at something like StreamYard, which is also browser-based, but gives you a little bit more control. You can bring in guests, you can do some basic overlays, that type of thing. If you want to do the kinds of things like I'm doing here, where you've got things moving and flying in and all that kind of stuff. If you want to be able to switch cameras, of course, yeah, so something like that. I was going to show you Murphy, but of course Murphy is not where I want him to be right now. Then you're going to need to bump up to some sort of streaming tool. So for you Mac users, you can go with Ecamm. For PC users, I highly, highly recommend vMix. That's what I use. vMix gives you all kinds of capabilities, functionality built into it. And the wonderful thing about it is you can start simple and it grows with you because it's got all this other functionality, but you don't have to start with it. Like you could start very simple and then add on as you need to go. So those are the kinds of starting decisions you need to do. Once you get that started, let me just switch over to this one sec. So then you want to actually go live, right? So let's go to this one. Actually, hey, there we go. See, I'm still here. So you want to go into YouTube, and you want to go into the, what are they calling it this week? I blank out on the name of this every time. Come on. Oh, don't hang up on me now. It's YouTube Studio. That's what it is. So you want it to look something like this. Depending on when you watch this, they will have probably rearranged it and added things and changed things and all that kind of stuff. But this is where you want to be. And then there's two basic ways for you to just go live, right? If you just want to, once you get in, you get verified, and you're hot to go, you want to just jump in and do it, you can either go to this little icon here, which got the little lines around it, and hit go live, or you can hit create. Either one of those will work. And then you can just say go live. Now this is going to freak out a little bit because I'm already live. And then it will bring you into the new version of the YouTube Studio. Now, I highly recommend right now, and while it still exists, that you use the classic version if you want to schedule. But if you just want to go live, then you're going to come in here and you're going to walk through, and this is how you're going to want to do it. Let's just go back one sec. I probably should have done this in a different account, but we'll see how it goes. So that gives you the ability to just go live. No pretense, no big setup, right? You don't have to do anything special. You just go in, you hit that, you say, I want to go live, and boom, you're ready to go. Most of the time, though, if you want to kind of build up to your stream, right? If you're going to pick a day and time to go live, you're probably going to want to schedule it ahead of time. That way you can do things like, go and pump up your social media. You could, if you build up an email list, you can email your audience and say, hey, remember the show is, this week, so it's Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and give them a link to click on and tell them what the topic is. So all of that is the kind of thing that is going to lead you to want to schedule your streams in advance when you can. You're not always going to be able to, you're not always going to want to, and it's okay to have that mix. The key is to pick a day and time that works for you. A lot of people are going to tell you, to look and evaluate when your audience is available, all that kind of stuff. The problem with that is if that day and time is not good for you, you're not going to show up, on a regular basis, right? You're not going to be religious about it. And that's what's more important. It's way more important that you pick a day and time that you can absolutely commit to. You're going to be there no matter what on that day and time. Then, maybe your audience can't be there at that day and time, but they can always watch the replay. And over time, as you build your audience, they're going to start to make an effort to be there, even if they're having to listen at work or whatever, but they will start to do that. And that's going to take some time, and don't stress over it as you begin. Like, it will just happen on its own over time. So it's more important that you pick a day and time that you can commit to, and then everything else will just fall into place. So if you're going to go in and you're going to schedule it, let's see if I can get this to come up now. For now, you're going to want to go into the classic. If it's going to let me. It's not going to let me. Oh, because I'm in the wrong account. Okay, whoa. Nope. One sec. I did that so that I could show you what it looks like when you're not set up. But now I am set up, so let me show you. That's why that was coming up funny. It's the first world problem of having multiple accounts. Come on. I said yes, load. We'll just wait for it to load. Okay, there we go. Yes, there we go. Okay, so we're going to be a little meta here because I'm live. But I just want to show you where you can go in to schedule your views, your shows. Okay, so like I said, a little meta, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. So like if I'm moving my hands like this, in a few seconds you're going to see it in this window here. Okay, so this is where you would go ahead and schedule, and you can schedule in advance. Okay, let me bring this so you can actually see. So up here, so the first thing that you want to do when you go in here, by the way, let me move this all the way up because, well, actually, I'll just hide me for a moment. There we go. The first thing that you're going to do is come over here and make sure that you select Schedule Next Stream, because you don't want to inadvertently change the information on a previous stream. So it's very important that you come in and you click on that. Okay, now I'll come back. Then you're going to put in your title, your description, You can come up here and change your thumbnail. If you're using a tool like TubeBuddy, you can actually create it here. I just go into Canva, create it, and upload it. And then when you're down here, is it going to show me? It's not going to show me because I'm live. But anyway, so when you say scheduled extreme, you're going to be able to pick the day and time. Of course, I can't do that because I'm live at the moment. And then you're going to save it, and then you're good to go. So that's all you need. And then once you do that, you're going to be able to get the URL to share on your social media accounts. Hang on. Why are you making that sound, John? Are you getting feedback or something? He's making strange sounds in chat. I'm not sure why. So then after you scheduled it, you're going to come in here to your videos. Now, for some reason, they break them into uploads and live. I don't know why. So you're going to want to go to live. And then you will see up here in the top, now I'm live now, but when this was scheduled, it showed it as the scheduled. So you could click on that, go in, get the share link, and then that's what you would share on all of your social medias, on Twitter and Instagram, your emails, all that kind of stuff. So that's your basic process for that. It's really straightforward. It's not a big deal. Like I said, you don't have to do any of it. Oh, the meta. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Yes, that makes sense, John. Yes, that was a slightly Twilight Zone moment, right? So to jump back here, if you are just going to go live, you're just going to go into that. You're going to hit create, or you're going to hit go live and put in a title and a quick description, and you're going to hit go live, and boom, you're going to be live in seconds. And that's how most people start. That's how most people get the ball rolling. Then as you start to figure out what your regular schedule is going to be and all that, then that's a good time to start to think about maybe scheduling it in advance. Like I said, you can schedule multiples, right? So you can. The reason I couldn't is because I'm actually live right now, so I don't want to confuse the system. But you can absolutely go ahead and do all of that scheduling ahead of time. And frankly, it's one less thing to worry about when you're ready to go live, right? But you do have the flexibility of being able to go live when you feel like it, right? Let's say you get new merchandise in, or maybe you get a shiny new piece of electronics that you want to share, that you're going to use, for your streams. Whatever the reason is, you don't have to limit yourself to one or the other. Does that make sense? And then, of course, you can always just record videos, right? You can just use your phone. You can use a tool like Camtasia or something like that, and edit them, and then create a file out of it, and then you can upload to YouTube. So these are all different ways to do things to get your content out there in different ways. The benefit of a live is you don't have to edit it, and after you're done, it stays there unless you remove it, so people can rewatch it later. So it sort of becomes a recorded video after you're done with it. All right, let's go through just some basics on things to think about as you're starting to do this. And this applies to doing things on the fly live, doing a live stream, or doing recorded videos. Okay? So first, you want to make sure that you start with the basic stuff, right? What are you going to talk about? And this can be really intimidating for a lot of people. But what I say to everybody who gets into that loop is take a breath and think about the last 3 questions somebody asked you about your business. Or think about the last 3 things that you're like, gee, I wish I could tell everybody about, or I wish they knew this. That's your content, okay? It doesn't have to be War and Peace. You don't have to make an epic video out of it, right? It just needs to be informational, useful, and they need to be able to hear you and ideally see you. But to be honest, then if people can hear you clearly, they're more likely to forgive bad video than they are forgive bad audio, just the way we are. So think about what you want to cover. Some people plan it out in advance for several weeks. I tend to schedule out now for 6 months. I started out doing it just for the month. Like I would sit down at the beginning of the month and I would decide, okay, these are the things I'm going to talk about, right? I do a weekly show. So here are the 4 shows I'm going to do this month. And that gave me then some focus on collecting the information, deciding how I was going to do that show. Is it going to be just me talking like this? Or is it going to be Murphy entertaining us? He's very happy at the moment. Oops. Oh, but of course, he just moved out of the way. Well, that's nice, Murphy. That's nice. As soon as I turn the camera on, he moves away. But you're going to think about like what pieces you're going to want in the show. Then from that, right, once you know what you're talking about, you kind of get a feel for how you're going to do it. Then you're going to make sure that you come up with a title that is highly searchable, right? So you're going to want to make sure that it's accurate, specific, right? Don't go on too long with your titles. And that you're using the keywords that people are going to be using when they are doing the search, because you want that connection to be made. You're going to want to come up with a short description. And you're going to want to make sure, especially here on YouTube, that you add some hashtags to that. Now, you're going to want to put those down at the bottom, like do the description, put some space, and then do your hashtags underneath it. But again, that just all helps to ensure that people are going to find you when they're searching about that topic. You're going to want to create a thumbnail image. So what am I talking about? Oh, did I close mine? Oh, no, I still have it. So the thumbnail is what you saw if you were watching when I started. So let's see. We'll go here. And we'll go here. So this is the thumbnail. So this is what people will see in the search results when they're going through and they're taking a look at everything. So it's, you know, an image of some sort, usually with the title on it. Usually you're going to put some branding on it, but you're going to want to create that. Now, don't stress about it. You do not have to be a great artist to do this, right? You can go and you can use a tool like Canva, right, which has free and paid levels. You could do it in PowerPoint. You can do it in Keynote, whatever it is that you're comfortable in. And they don't have to be, you know, earth-shaking to start with. But do take a look at the thumbnails that you see and notice which ones jump out at you, and then look at why, right? Usually there's a bright color. Usually there's an eye-catching image. And then the title explains what the topic is that's covered in that video. You want to make sure that you hit on those points. It's not magic, right? But it is an important piece. You want to make sure that you've got a thumbnail and that it communicates to people what it is your content is about in that video, because that's what gets them to read the title and the description that you typed in when you were setting up to go live or when you uploaded your video. You're going to want to create bullet points. That's what I'm checking over here to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. So don't script it. A lot of people try to script it and they try to read the script, and when people are reading something, they come off like robots. I'm exaggerating there a little bit, but not much. When you try to write it, and a lot of people try to do that as a safety net, but it comes off very artificial. You're much better off if you just create a couple of bullet points to make sure you keep yourself on topic, that you don't forget anything. But don't overscript it because you're going to sound funny. Tom is telling us, hang on. Tom is telling us that Canva became available on desktop PC, so you have it now. Are you saying that they've created an app you can download? Because you can always do it from the browser on the desktop. It's a browser application. But if they've released a desktop application, I have not heard that, and I will go check about that. That would be lovely. But yeah, so here, I can show you Canva. You can do it literally anywhere. Anywhere you've got a browser, you can use Canva. One sec, I'm just bringing it up. We'll go here. And let's take that down. Oh, I guess that's not working yet either. Why is that not coming down? There we go. So this is Canva. It's super simple. You can just come down. You can, pick predefined things. Whoops. Did not really mean to click on that. Well, that's okay. So this is what it looks like. They give you ones that you can work off of. You can come in and you can select elements and build it yourself. It's super, super easy to do. It's just an app for the desktop. I'm going to check that out. That's very cool. I did not get that email yet. I'm kind of bummed because I'm excited at that idea. There's all kinds of templates you can use. You can look at, ones for specific purposes, right? So you can do thumbnails, you can do Instagram posts. It's got all kinds of purposes. But for the purposes of our conversation here, what we're talking about is using this to create your thumbnails. So you would come in, you would say YouTube thumbnail. It's already going to give it to you in the right size, and then you can just rock and roll and do whatever you like with it. You can upload images to it even with the free account, and then you can make use of their images depending on what level of image it is. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for, but if you are a paying member, you get a bunch of them for free. Let's see. So Tom has got Tom rocks. Like, Tom comes through with all this great information, and it makes me so happy. I love the fact that people come and share. So it's just an app. He tried to download it one time, told me it's only available for Android and iOS. That's great. I'm psyched that they've made something available for the desktop, because that will actually make it easier when I'm offline, because that does happen occasionally. So that will be very handy when I'm offline, if I can have the app available. So the point is, don't stress over the thumbnails. It's not a problem. There are templates available. You don't have to remember anything. You don't have to know anything. You just go in and say, yep, I need to do YouTube thumbnail, and rock and roll with it. And the other thing is that you want to make sure that you include a call to action, right? So yes, you are doing your content for your audience, right? You are either trying to address the needs of your existing customer base, right? You want to make sure that they're getting the information that they're looking for. But you also are looking to address the needs and the questions of your yet to find out how wonderful you are customers, right? So your potential customers, the people who don't know you exist yet. So you just want to make sure that for one or both of those, you have a call to action included in every one of your shows. So for example, my call to action these days is, hey, sign up for my mailing list. You go to yourtechcoach.net/mailing list. I only use this to let you know about upcoming events, upcoming shows, and you don't have to worry. I'm not selling your name and your address to anybody. And if you decide you don't want it at some point, it's one click to remove yourself. So it's super easy. But I hope that you will consider signing up and giving it a try. So it's yourtechcoach.net/mailing list. Tom says, I like that it sets a size for you. Right, because every single platform is a little different on their sizes. So it is helpful that you can use something like Canva that just says, here you go, here's the right size, put it all in, you'll be good to go. So that's a really nice tool. And I love the fact that they make their functionality available for free, and then, support your devs. If you find it useful, consider paying if you can. But it does give you a chance to test drive it, and if you can't pay for it, then, don't stress out over it. They're not going to hound you about it. They're not going to take anything away from you. It's just there for you to use. So we've talked about all the preliminary stuff. We've talked about how you go and you set up, if you're going to stream in advance. The next thing you want to do, whether you are scheduling it in advance or you're just going to go live, right? Or you're just going to upload a video, right? You're going to want to promote it. Now, it's okay to promote it after the fact, but it's great to do it before the fact, right? Build up that anticipation. Let people know something's coming. So again, you can go on all the social medias, right? You can do a blog post, whatever it is that you have at your disposal. And if you don't have any of these at your disposal, I have other shows on how to set yourself up for them. But you do want to get your name out there. You want to make sure that people are hearing from you in all different ways, right? Because you don't want to just be loading videos on YouTube and hoping people find you. You want to do everything you can, including good titles, good descriptions, using keywords, but also hitting social media, letting people know that it's out there. Remember, on social media, you want to do, 1 to 3, right? 1 post from you about you, balance out with 3 shares that you do or 3 interactions you do with other people's content. That's just the good ratio for being on social. But you do want to use your social to say, hey, I'm going to be posting a new video for you on this day, and it's going to cover this. And then, people will start to look for it. And then, you can do it like 2 days in advance and a day in advance. And then the day of, say, hey, it's going live today at this time. I hope you'll join me. Or you can just say, hey, it's live. Go check it out, and give them a link. Tom says, I ain't getting no money, no how. There is a lot of that going around right now. And that's why I appreciate companies like Canva that give us tools that we can use even when we're broke. And that's why whenever I can, I do, try to pony up, whether it's, buying an upgrade or, paying for a monthly license or whatever, because I appreciate the fact that they do make these tools available. And there are a lot of them out there, which is lovely. Okay, so I just want to hit a couple more things that you should try to do as you are going through this process. Next is, and this is funny because it's the kind of thing that you wouldn't think I need to mention, but I do. You need to engage your audience, okay? Not just in the promotion part of, hey, I've got a video. Hey, I'm going live. But you want to stay in contact with them after. Let them know that the content is there. You want to go back and keep an eye on comments that come in while you're live, right? Like Tom is doing, like John is doing. But you also want to go back for the comments that people leave after you're live, right? Or on your recorded videos that you've uploaded. Don't ignore them, right? When people take the time to go and do the post a comment of some sort, good, bad, or indifferent, you do want to go and engage with them and let them know they're being heard, answer questions if they're asking questions, but make sure that you are engaging with them. If you are live and people come on, do things like this, right? So, when you get to the higher level tools, like, right, we can actually put Tom's name up here, his picture, put his comment out there to share with everybody else. This is the kind of thing that adds a certain level of polish to your video. Now, it's okay if you can't do that to start with. You can't do it for mobile, all that kind of stuff. That's okay. I'm just saying that this is something to think about as you progress through having this kind of thing. Let me take that away. So however you do it, whether it's just calling them out, right? So like I haven't shown John's comments. Should I show a John comment? I'll show a John comment. Here, we'll just bring John up, right? We'll give Facebook equal time, right? So there's John over on Facebook who's been making comments too. But before I had brought that up, I just called him out, right? I called him by name. I mentioned his comment. I responded to it. So that's the kind of other level of engagement that you can do no matter what. You can do that while you're on your phone. Now, it is a little difficult on your phone, I will admit. If you're streaming from your phone, hopefully you've got a tripod. That does make life easier. It can be a little hard to see your comments. So if you possibly can, maybe get a backup phone to, watch the comments on, or, have somebody, maybe who's with you, but off camera, who's watching the comments and letting you know what's going on, all that kind of good thing. Okay, Tom's got a question. Let's see what we got here. Would you suggest using the same thumbnail for a series of YouTube videos about the same subject? Mostly. So if you're going to do something that is a series and you want to make it very clear that they are related, you should use elements, right, that are repeated all the way through, but of course you're going to do like a different title. So maybe pick, a background color, the general layout of like where you have an image, where you have a text, that type of thing. And then pick maybe one or two things that are a little different to help differentiate each one. At least, obviously, the title will be different. But maybe, you want to move your logo from one position to another or whatever. But yeah, so you do want to tap into the fact that as humans, we see patterns, right? We're very pattern oriented. And so if we see a repeating pattern, we assume that there's a relationship there, and we'll probably dig in a little bit deeper. So that's a great way to group your videos together that are about a certain topic. And if you haven't already seen it, I think you have, Tom, but for other people, last week I did a show about playlists, which is another way to group your videos, whether or not your thumbnails are related or not, but it's another way for you to group things in a logical format and even a logical order, if that matters, for your audience. So there's a couple of different ways to do it, but that's a brilliant way to go about it. That makes sense. Cool. Okay. Yeah, so we talked about all that, so I'm just double checking my list. Okay, so one more thing I want to cover before I wrap this up. Again, I keep trying to get it back to a half hour. We're going to be 50 minutes before we're done, I'm afraid. But I do want to make this point because it's a topic for me. And that is, wherever it's possible, try to make things accessible. Now, I'm failing on that here tonight because other than Facebook, which has the ability right now for me to turn on automatic captions, captioning is very important for people who have, hearing issues, but also for your audience members who might be in an environment at the moment when you're streaming or when they're watching your video that is inappropriate to have audio on, or it's difficult to hear. So it's a good thing to have. I'm working on getting mine back. But at least, for what I'll do for this one and what I've been doing for the other ones is after the fact with YouTube, you can go in and turn on automatic captioning processing, and it will add it to the recorded version of it later. And then I'm going to go back to using my jury-rigged combination of Google Transcribe and AirDroid, which I've explained in a different video too. But do at least give some consideration to it. Because it does help people. There are other tools you can use like Web Captioner. which you can just position it and it will automatically on the fly caption it for you. So it works great for live or recorded videos. But do give some consideration to that if you possibly can. Tom says, you're talking about business. You use great ideas to promote your church. Thank you. No problem. No problem. I mean, that's the hard part is like, I have to target this somehow so that people can find it. And it's a tough balance because really I'm targeting solo entrepreneurs, right? Freelancers, small businesses, but this all applies to large businesses too, organizations. And that's sort of like, to be honest, I'm struggling with that right now because I work with a lot of organizations and I kind of feel like they don't always listen to content or read or look at content or respond to it if it's targeted at businesses, even though, I mean, frankly, to be honest, churches, organizations have the same needs that a business does. It's just not a financial transaction so much, right? It's an experience or, a gathering type of thing. But at the core, we're all looking to get the word out there. We're all looking to stay in contact with the people that are already familiar with us. We're all looking to provide information and services and education and, even entertainment, right? Mr. Murphy is over here squeaking his little brain out because he found a squeaky toy in the room. So yes, I'm glad that you're able to extrapolate this content for your church, because that's the whole point of all this, is it applies to everybody, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about. If you have a message, if you are looking to build a community, if you are trying to sell something, if you're trying to provide a service, all of this applies. And you need to be out there in all the different places. Well, I shouldn't say all. You should be out there in the different places that your people would be hanging out, right? So the reason I don't say all is because it's really not necessary for you to be on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Pinterest and like all the things, right? You need to identify what is the subset of the different elements that works for you and your audience. Now, that may require some experimentation, right? You may need to try doing Mixer for 3 months to see if your people are out there. And then see how it goes from there, right? So it may take a little dialing in. It may take a little asking your existing people where they're hanging out, because the odds are where they're hanging out, the rest of your people are hanging out. But yeah, that's great. I can't even spell solopreneur. Yeah, I always trip over that. That's why I don't even try to say it anymore. But you get the point. All right, everybody. That's what I have for you. We're going to be right up on that 50 minutes again. I'm trying to get them tighter. I really am. Let's see. Tom says, you're using vMix Social during the church services and you're getting more posts. That's awesome. And it's funny because actually I had a conversation with somebody about that last week, because they just started getting familiar with vMix. And, again, that's why I love it, because you can start off with one camera, one mic, and build on from there. But when I suggested vMix Social, they're like, no, why would I do that? I'm like, well, if you're doing it online, people are going to be responding and you can make them feel more a part of it by using it. So I'm so psyched that you're using. That's great. And I'm sure people appreciate the fact that you are making that extra effort for them. So that's wonderful. I'm so psyched. I love seeing people do this kind of stuff. There's so much possibility, and you're really only limited by your imagination, right? There's a lot of different ways to put these puzzle pieces together. I refer to them as Lego blocks all the time. Maybe that's because as a kid and as an adult, I still love Lego. But they are the quintessential building block, right? You get a pile of Lego, and what comes out of that pile is up to you. And that's very much the case for all this kind of stuff. So that's why I'm out here doing all this kind of thing. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you would like to have me talk about, if you'd like me to go deeper into some of these topics, or if you're looking for help, if you need somebody to do remote producing for you because all you have is a phone and you want to go live to YouTube and you don't have your 1,000 folks yet, you can reach me on yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Just let me know what your question is, how I can help, and I'm more than happy to do what I can for you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, John, Tom, everybody else. I appreciate you being here. I am here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with a different topic on YouTube, Facebook, and Mixer. So I hope to see you again. And like I said, don't be shy. Reach out if you have questions or you need help. That's what I'm here for. It's what I do best. Have a good one. Bye.